I'm E.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Hester.
Welcome to the next movement, folks.
Barcoded skin, the tint raised beta regalia. Cable curls initiated to failure. Tension is all I trust. One with the spirits I lie, Albert Ayler. Encrusted trust has kept me up for love, I'm unavailable. Resignation in they shrugs, brothers truncated by failure. Language mush, gridlock stiff and unscalable. Let the hammer spark as a marketing tool. Death blighted triptych, snuff films, robbing fiction, iron spooling sick disgust. Slave labor building, reek of merchandising musk. Do all the genre bend you want, nigga, you still suck. O's and ones, minode, hook, line and sink. Shine a blink, shame as blackens access through hyperlinks. Dive bar, private sink, hiding through my lip trills. Lock the door behind me, I'm trying to think. Open gym, mic and drill precision. Your spit getting the itis wheeled, I'm wheeling Wily King. Whether it's the bots or the roads on technology's opposition. In both cases, I get to lick in cyber rank. Mirror scene, back rows, pyramid scheming, Maslow, blunt keys of self-help. Just accept your shackles, black like fracking.
Hester Valentine. Thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So let's just dive right in and start the conversation by talking about Make Me, a project that you dropped at the end of last year. The first track on this project is called All Sales Final. And there's this refrain that you have at the end of the song where you're saying there's no time to be wasted. And I really feel that energy throughout the entirety of this album. There's a gravity to this project that feels significant and really compelling. What inspired that energy?
Thank you. That actually means a lot that you mentioned that. Um, a lot of like that energy comes from like maybe like an internal pressure to like kind of just be better, be like like a I, some people call it the grind set or whatever, like and there's like kind of like a balance to be had. I feel like between working hard to like get the things you want and to be better and to improve, but also like having like balancing a life, and
Mm,
like and enjoying the things that like you are doing and like the things that are going well in your life. So like a lot of that song is kind of me like pushing myself and like kind of shutting down like what's the word I'm looking for, like just pushing myself harder and harder and like
mm.
not giving myself room for like pleasure, like like for respite. And that's where that feeling of like there's no time to be like any time that I'm not working is time that I'm not getting better, I'm not improving, which is
Mm.
not the healthiest of mindsets. But like that was like kind of the impetus for what was turning through my head when I was like writing on that.
Yeah. Do you find it hard just striking a balance between like really pushing yourself and also allowing yourself to enjoy what you've done and being content with that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I can definitely be a little hard on myself, like, and and I try to take time to like reflect on the things I have done, so I'm not just completely flailing my arms and feeling like I'm not moving at all and just completely inert.
Yeah.
But then like you do like come away from like putting stuff out like, man, like I wish I could do this better, I wish I could like so like I don't know, I'm constantly fighting that, like I don't want to be too in love with myself, but I don't want to be too hard on myself. And it's hard to kind of accept that like you're just doing what you're doing and keep doing that and just like trusting that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One of the first things that really drew me into your work was the production on your projects. And so when I listened to Make Me for the first time, it really reminded me of that. How do you think the sounds that you choose to rhyme with define your artistry?
They give the backdrop. It's what I'm doing as a MC, as a vocalist, as a lyricist is incomplete without the beats. I feel as much as I pride myself on like being like a dope rapper. At the end of the day, like I'm a musician. Like I want to make compelling music. Production is very important in that. Like the beats I'm rhyming on, very important for that. Like the refrains I use, very important for that. The structure of the song, very important. So so yeah, I think they outline and add. It's hard. It's kind of like it is the thing. If that makes like it's hard to say how like it brings to the artistry because to me it's like I'm bringing to that like like
Mm.
like we're all kind of coming together to make this one thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I want to go back to All Sales Final for a moment. The first track on Make Me Make Me. Early in that track, you invoke Albert Ayler's name. Hearing his name kind of unlocks something for me in regards to your music. Sonically speaking, like it's often challenging and it holds a kind of tension, perhaps in a similar way to Ayler and the free jazz movement. That movement was in large part, of course, like intended to challenge not just the structures confining jazz musicians at the time, but the oppression of Black people as a whole. And I wonder if you view your music in a similar way.
Yeah, definitely. I love Albert Ayler, and I'm like I'm influenced by like new free jazz and like power electronics and it's like stuff that's like intentionally kind of challenging and like the song there's another song on Make Me Tori Miwa's Wet Dream like that one's like probably the most challenging on the record I'd say and intentionally so because like some of the things I was rapping about like I was rapping about like just like the violence that we often hear in like modern rap music and stuff like that and it's like for me I wanted to create something that would give you the pleasures of listening to that stuff because it's exciting to hear that stuff and it's also it's fascinating in some ways and like and interesting and it can be funny like like and punchlines and stuff like that but like I also wanted to create a sound in which when you're listening to it you're not rewarded for like you have to work to get that pleasure like if you are going to enjoy like these very serious things being like repeated in this way you're going to have to work for it you're going to have to give something of yourself to enjoy this
Mm.
like on the Valenta compilation there's the I forget the name of the record because some of the records just have different names from the I titled them like differently like in the files but like I believe it's called Ballistics um that record like it is also like very much about like just like violent stories I grew up hearing and I was like I'll share these stories but they won't be theater like you're gonna have to give something of yourself to enjoy this experience or not enjoy it, but to take in this experience or you can just walk away from it but you should be forced to make that decision because like this isn't like rainbows and sunshines that I'm speaking about
Mm.
so I think like challenging people to like enforcing the introspect is like important.
You did an interview with Caltrops Press a little bit ago. Shout out to Joe. And he asked you what verse you were most proud of, and you chose bars from LeBron Meme, which is a song on Make Me Make Me. Um, when you walk away feeling really excited about something that you've done, do you use that as momentum to create the next best thing?
Kind of, yeah. Like I yeah, so that was a really silly way to respond to that. But I think so, yeah. Like when I'm creating stuff as well, like I'll sometimes like see it as a part of a broader thing or like like I'll be like, oh, I compare it with this song and put it with this song and like kind of make like some like I very rarely kind of like walk away from like one song thinking like oh this like I'm not like a singles artist if that what I
Mm,
mean like when
yeah.
I make stuff it's very like project oriented in mind even if it's a bad idea for a project like I'm still thinking of how I can place it with something else so in that way it does like kind of like create like a snowball you know where like I'm like okay this is a solid piece now I can continue building
Yeah.
um but I don't think it's like I wouldn't say it's like a next best thing because like I don't feel like the songs are in competition with each other if that makes sense like I'm interested in making like individual like like they should all just be like interesting and like and and engrossing, like and specific to the song itself. Like it like I just don't like I'm more focused about like repeating things as opposed to like, upping myself, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that's like a weird way to approach it, but that's kind of how I view the songs in relation to each other.
Ale Super is another track from Make Me. And your first words on that track are, I'm an alien to the field. In the big picture, people crop around you. You seem to be addressing the fact that like you're different than a lot of your rap peers. But either way, it's apparent that you're an artist who's drawn to different sounds and perspectives. I imagine that might lead you to feel alienated to a certain extent. Do you feed off of that? Is that motivating for you?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Cause it inspires me to kind of just do me more. The longer I rap, the more like my perspectives kind of matured, and like just in terms of like how I view myself and my art. And one big thing, like just being like around a lot of like people in the scene, something that's like kind of like solidified itself for me is like I just kind of gotta be me. Like, there's always going to be someone that does some aspect of this thing better than me. Like, there's better lyricists, there's better, people that have better flows, there's people who perform, but whatever the case is, right? But like, what the thing that I can do best is just be me. Like, I like my ideas, like I like the stuff that like I come up with, you know what I mean? And like just maximizing that. So like I kind of embrace, the specificity of like what makes me me, like, and because that's really all I got. Like that's all I can offer is me. So I embrace that feeling like an alien,
Mhm.
and this is like the one context in life where like that's like good, like it's like more of a plus than a negative.
That was not a very hip hop answer, and I mean that in like the best possible way. Like I feel like so much of what we hear from rappers, I guess mostly like in the mainstream, is just about how they're the best. Like it's this competition. So I really appreciate that perspective. Like let me focus on my strengths.
I mean, to me, it's just about having confidence in yourself too. Like,
Mm,
like it's not it's not about being better than anybody. It's about like being the best me, and
mm.
you know, I like myself enough to think that if I'm the best me, niggas will fuck with it.
I was listening to the track 10-9-23 last night. I was literally cleaning my place and putting fresh sheets on my bed, like trying to make things up for the lady that I'm seeing right now. So super relatable content. That track might be the most like Valentine song from a guy who calls himself Valentine. Um, did it feel like especially vulnerable to record and release?
Yeah, yeah, it did. Cause there's not there's no like veneer, or there's no like like it's pretty authentic and pretty to the point. And like but like I wanted to challenge myself in that way, because at the end of the day, like I do want to connect with people through the work, and that means like giving of myself in like a real way. And like I wanted to give a part of myself in like a very clear way, because to me that makes the work meaningful. And like there's like you may have special people in your life, you uh want to do things to honor them sometimes. And I have like I thought it was nice to share with other people as well, like, so it's kind of a twofold thing. That's a very special record for me. It's one of my favorites that I've done, I think.
Mm. It's like striking how different it is from a lot of your other music. But I also think it's like, if you're talking about a special relationship, it's like important to practice like vulnerability and open communication in that relationship. And you're doing that on this record, which I thought was cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like it's it's interesting we're talking about All Sales Final. For me, like I wanted to create a contrast between the first and last record. Like I think the first record it's very much that toxic grind set that we are referring to earlier. Like, I gotta work harder. Like, there is no time to, connect with people. You just gotta improve and work, work, work. And then at the end, like, I allow myself to give and it's I don't know, to me that like even more that even more highlights the beauty of the song. I don't know,
Yeah.
like because I don't know, to me it shows how much I probably needed that, to free myself of that.
I also just appreciate, I think it's on the Brown meme. You say something like, my girl want to know what the songs mean. Well, there's no doubt what that last track means. That's not unclear.
I want to transition us to another project that you've done called I Can't Cut Your Hair. You dropped this in 2023 and you did it with Outside House. So the album's liner notes on Bandcamp quote you saying, "My main intention when writing this record was to represent the anxiety and isolating feeling of personal responsibility." I wondered, does your artistry help you escape that, or does it make those feelings more intense?
um that's interesting. I've actually never considered that. Maybe maybe it helps me. Yeah, it definitely allows me to it helps me confront it. Like I feel like the work for me is like usually cathartic, and like it allows me to like kind of express how I'm feeling about like the anxiety, like the stresses I'm having. Like at that particular time, like it was just like stuff I had, like just like life stuff. It was like, like you got to get
Hmm.
off your ass. So like this is like kind of like coming out of COVID and stuff, and like, you know I'm like at this point I've like dropped out of school. I'm like drinking heavily. You know, just stuff wasn't really going my way. Like, I'm like falling out with friends, like all type of stuff. And like, and I like it allowed me to kind of like, have like a healthier way to like express those like darker feelings and darker emotions, like,
Yeah.
so it made like accepting responsibility like easier, like because because like I'm now that I got it out, I'm able to kind of step away from it and like and grow past it, like, like
Hmm.
so I don't know, I don't know if it helped me escape personal responsibility, but I think I've gotten better with personal responsibility since it came out, so maybe it
Yeah.
was helpful in the process. I that was a terrible answer. I feel bad, but
No, no,
that was a
there's
great
there's no
question.
terrible answers. No terrible answers. Kind of maybe sort of related to that. You and Outside House spoke to Unseen Underground a few months after I Can't Cut Your Hair dropped. At one point during the interview, you and Unsung compare stories about growing up Catholic, and Unsung says that the thing that stayed with him the longest was just the idea of guilt, feeling guilty about any single thing that you do for the rest of your life. And I feel like I can hear you struggle with that conflict, that guilt in your music. So I guess my question is, do you feel like that's an accurate statement? And if it is, does that struggle ever hinder your creativity?
I agree. I do think it's true. Like on the I Can't Cut Your Hair record, like I on the Usher song, I'm like directly talking about like God knowing my like silent thoughts, which is like a spooky idea to me. Like it
Yeah.
still kind of fucks with me. Like, and yeah, there's definitely like shame and guilt. Like one of my favorite songs that I did, God Is Not Listening, like is just kind of like about my like shame and guilt with like, my worldly desires, I guess, like,
Yeah.
but like, and I don't think it hinders my work. I think part of that is what makes the work necessary,
Hmm.
like it's a place where like I can explore, like, I don't it's I don't know. I guess what one thing I like about like making the music is like it's like a very specific context. It's like kind of like a it's like a make-believe world in some ways, you know.
Hmm.
Like I get to kind of work these things out. I can be as dramatic as I want, as not dramatic as I want. I can like I can really just be, but in this thing that isn't like like I'm not like really yelling at someone, you know, like it's kind of like it's real but not real, you know, like.
Yeah.
And and I think for someone like me that struggles with like shame and guilt, like an outlet like that is like very like attractive
Yeah.
because you can kind of give without like shame, you know. So it's freeing. So it doesn't really hinder the work for me. I think it makes the work. It's what makes the work what I have to do.
Yeah. It's almost like well, I guess it is, you did do this. You created like a safe space for yourself to just be.
Yeah,
And that's what feels, I would guess that's what feels the most freeing about it.
yeah, exactly. You hit it on the head. Yeah, like, and the record we're gonna talk about later, I feel like that's like a, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
that's a very free record. That's very, you know,
Mm.
like just wild and yeah, like the shame definitely is what compels me to rap.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't grow up Catholic, but I grew up in a religious house. Rob did too, so he can probably throw in some 2 cents here, but I feel that like
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Again, very relatable. I think I have a couple questions that are gonna like expound on this a bit, but in general, your presence on the mic is like menacing and loud and abrasive, and there are several tracks on Valenta, for example, where you're yelling or screaming. Your vocals are kind of like pushed to their edge in these moments with intense feeling that eventually turns into what just feels like a primal energy. Like something I think that you're more likely to find in like hardcore music than hip hop. It's reminded me of alternative therapies for trauma, where folks are like encouraged to like let energy that's been trapped in their bodies from traumatic experiences like out in either loud like guttural sounds or through movement. And I know you just touched on this a bit, but like how cathartic are these moments of pure energy for you?
They're very cathartic. Like the records on Valenta, especially, because you mentioned those, like I Love Pink was like super cathartic, and it was like like I don't know, like that's like the kind of stuff I like to rap about, like because I really did see this guy like masturbating in the train, and it fucked my head up, and like because like I would hear about like people like saying, yeah, like people always masturbating on the trains, and like I never saw it, so like just see, and then like I saw it this one time, I was like, oh shit, like this is super ridiculous. But like I saw it and I was like, damn, like this is like it's like an omen or something. It's like a like now I'm gonna like see the real city. Like this is where like you know this is where the city begins. like like and like I like playing around with like stuff like that and like you know bring I don't know like that whole record, like just being able to just like shout on the record and like there are no words and just like grunts and like it's like I don't know, I like having that freedom. I like playing around with stuff, like yeah, like I love that song because it's just so free formed. It's so like you know free flowing. Nothing's like boxing it in.
Coons will rain the streets. Strange fruit swang off the link tree. I'm somewhere between Sketch 185 and Blink 183. Wonder how many benzos it take to get from A to B. Sink in like a Muay Thai clinch. Double up to the knees, heaving. Dirty on the soapbox, screaming. Settle on my chest, niggas think I actually mean it. Too drunk to count myself in, double dutching with feeling.
And now we'll get into the clothing. So first off, I have this really adorable dress. So it's sparkle on the top, and then it's got this pink tutu-y bottom, and then the back kind of like ties up a bit. And this dress was only $7.99, super cute, and I love gray and pink. You'll see. I love gray and pink because this haul is all gray and pink. I won't lie. So
Yeah, you may have just answered my next question because I wanted to talk about specifically I Love Pink. All right, this is a track that's like is real interesting to me. Like you do some screaming after you've like yelled and screamed a bit. You say coons rain the streets, strange fruit swinging off the lynch tree. I'm somewhere between Sketch 185 and Blink 183, which by the way I think is over my head. Like I thought for so long, Blink 183. What is that? Anyway, you
Oh
go,
no, I just fucked up the line. It didn't hit me until like a couple of days ago when I like went to listen to Blink 182 and I was like, wait a second. I was not saying that on the song.
That's hilarious. Well, I mean, it drew me in for sure. You know, on the song, you go on to question how many benzos are necessary to get by. There's a clip of what honestly sounds like the shit my 13-year-old daughter watches on YouTube all the time. It's like someone describing a piece of clothing they recently bought for like $7 and how they love wearing a color pink with gray. And then there's just like 2 minutes of the beat just riding out. So you may have already answered my question and just talking about like the freedom that you are exercising on this track. And I feel like I try not to ask such simple questions, but like, what is going on with this song with I Love Pink?
It's hip hop.
That's it. All right, moving on.
That song was fun to do, and I'm happy you enjoyed it.
I did. I did enjoy it. I love it when people give space for the beat. That was one thing that I enjoyed about it, like the meditative aspect of that. The last 2 minutes of that track gives you time to think and reflect on like what you just heard.
Yeah, Outside House did that beat, and it's so fire.
Yeah. Your music kind of reminds me again speaking to like what you were saying earlier about creating this like space for you to be free and to like freely express yourself without the kind of guilt or shame that you might feel otherwise. Your music kind of reminds me of artists like Danny Brown, Cool Keith, ODB, who we're going to talk about later, folks from other genres like Tom Waits or Bob Dylan, in that they at times adopt a persona in their music making. I've been struck by like how you call yourself Valentine and yet are like brutally intense on the mic, almost as though you've like intentionally created a dichotomy. Do you consider Hester Valentine to be a persona?
In some ways, like yeah, sometimes I'm exaggerating, sometimes I'm telling like the exact truth, sometimes I'm maybe lying. I don't know, you know. Um, but yeah, like I like back to what I was saying about like it being like this like kind of real but not real space. Like I think I've like really embraced that in my approach. I make jokes, I'm sarcastic. Sometimes I'm like very earnest. Sometimes and I like that blend. I like the tension of all that being there. So so in some ways it's a character, but it's like, it's like a reflection of me. Like it's still like personal. Like I'm not like, like it's not it's not like an alter ego or something, like it's like, yeah, it's a more confident version of me. But I don't know. I don't know. Is what I'm saying making sense? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it sounds like at times it's like a more intense or amplified version of you, and there are other times, when you might be more you than you are at other times.
yeah, and to me, it's always coming from a genuine place. So it's that's the truth in it. It's less like truth in detail and more truth in expression.
We were talking about this a little bit before we started the show, but I saw you live for the first time last year in Philly. And before that, I had never been introduced to your work. I had no idea who you were. And I remember watching you thinking, damn, there are just so many creative people in this culture that I don't know. And it just made me really excited to discover more artists like you. When somebody is listening to your work for the first time, what are some of the first things you hope they appreciate about your artistry?
That's interesting because like yeah, no, like there's some days where I'm like, man, I hope they just think I'm like the illest MC. Like I hope they just like they hear and just like bars, like like they just like they catch all the wordplay and all like. And then some days I'm like, I hope like people just like they see how like personal the music is and like like and whatnot. And then some days I'm just like grateful for people listening. So it is like I take whatever you want, like I hope like,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I want people to like take away from it that like, I want it to be something you haven't heard something like it before. Like it should always feel unique. So I'd say that's the main thing. Like whether it's the bars that hit you first or if it's just the energy that hits you first or if it's the ad lib that hit you first, like I'm cool with whatever the entry point is, but like I want you to like be like, nah, this is exciting and fresh, and like I don't want you to hear anything, oh, this is like X thing and that's why I like it. Like there's like some people who like sound like other people and that's why people like them, and I don't want to be like one of those kind of, like I want you to like me because they sound like me.
Yeah, you are certainly unique. I mean, there is only one Hester Valentine, and I think that that's part of what makes you so exciting as an MC. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Come on, fuck that shit. Yo, bitches out there, throw your hands in the air. To my niggas out there, throw your guns in the air. Let me give you so dirt, dog. Let me hear you go dirt, dog. Let me hear you go. Nigga been branded, no dope short-handed. This is why the dirt dog landed, and I expanded from the help of the RZA, shit that commanded. I'm a project hoe, love project hoe. Nigga get bust at the front door. I don't got no love for the mo. The process too pro, but Brooklyn's too low. I be like Ojo. See at the cocaine store, copping and copping more. See, I'm a real nigga, give a bitch a car. Bitch want a Jeep, give a bitch a star. Bitch wanna sleep, number one. Number one, I live in my mama house. Number one, I live in my mama house. The old dirty bastard productions, little shots. Be hot like a fought from a bitch's twat. I'm just a small boy, well known like Elroy, well employed. Cash built up like steroids. Electra master, puppeteer motherfuckers. You can't control the black man's God.
Each episode, we spend the second half of the show talking about a hip-hop album chosen by our guest. And today we are talking about Nigga Please by Old Dirty Bastard. So tell us, Hester, why you picked this album.
This album is fucking crazy. Like, this shit is hard. And like, man, like, I love ODB for starters. Like,
Yeah.
the first time I heard ODB was on NBA Live, I want to say 10. Like he was on like a remix of a Britney Spears song, Toxic.
I love that shit.
10. I was probably like 10, 11 or some shit. I was like, yo, what? I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, and yeah, this record is insane. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like stuff now that like is like kind of trying to capture like a similar chaotic like energy, like this like just this wild nature, and like nothing really comes close. Like, and this like came out like in '99, like this record is I love it. I don't know, what do y'all think about it, dude?
Well, first, I just kind of want to acknowledge, like, I love that I love that the first song you heard him on was a Britney Spears remix. I gotta say, like, he did some pretty notable features. I mean, like, like
yeah, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. Yo, that shit put him on the map.
Oh,
You know,
Mariah Carey one. What was the other one? From Bulwark, or Bulworth.
Yeah, Ghetto Superstar. I mean, he was on the Anything remix with SWV. I mean, other Wu members were too, but like he has some really like dope ass guest features on these R&B pop songs, man.
It's crazy.
They weren't
Yeah.
in NBA Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious. What do I think about this album? So I have to say, I the production I think throws me off a lot of times. I don't know. Like I love Return to the 36 Chambers, so it is completely different from that. I mean, same ODB, right? But like the production is just like it's like night and day. So it's just kind of like some songs I think because like the production on some of the songs is just like for me, like compared with him. So some of it is like just okay for me, but I love him no matter what. I mean, there was nobody like him. There will never be anybody like him. I mean, I got a tattoo of him on my arm. So I I love ODB. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's I think the production like doesn't make this like an album I would choose over like Return to 36 Chambers, you know. So that's my initial thoughts.
Interesting. What about you,
Yeah.
Robert?
I have an issue with some of the production too. I mean, I think it's just because as time has passed, my relationship to like Pharrell and the Neptunes has kind of changed. I remember at the time thinking like, I don't see how this is going to work. Like learning that he was working with the Neptunes before the album came out, and I was like, I don't see it. When it dropped, I was really into it. Like that first song, I was like, okay, he can work with the Neptunes. I get it. But I listen to it now and I'm like, ooh, I don't know about this. What I do like about it is like the freedom, as we've been talking about your music, like the freedom that it gave him to kind of do whatever he wanted. There are so many moments on this project where I'm just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, I don't, Good Morning Heartache. I listened to that song this week. I was like, I don't remember this at all. And this is fucking weird. And I love that. So I love that he had like the freedom to do that shit. The other thing that's changed for me though, and E and I were talking a bit about this before we started, is just like, as an adult, like learning more about his life and like his like struggles in his personal life, like addiction and mental health, like kind of tints this record or gives it a different feel for me. Like it feels more apparent to me now that like he was probably going through a lot of shit while writing some of this stuff. I think it's of Mikes and Men, that Wu Tang like docu series. They show clips of like the RZA like trying to help him write lyrics that just felt sad to me and that I can't like erase from my brain when I listen to this record. But I don't want to bring us down. I think this record is also like a lot of fun and very entertaining.
Yeah, no, that's a good point about like that like the story kind of tinting the record a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also like just kind of legitimately enjoy like some of the songs, like the Rick James cover like is like it's so like ridiculous, but like I don't know, for me it works. Like Dirt Dog is a banger. Like I
Mhm.
like I don't know, for me it's like it's fun. Like I don't know, the production like works for me. Like I do think like Return of 36 Chambers is probably like the more cohesive record and like just probably the more like balanced listen. Like it's probably a better record. But like this one like it's just the attitude of it that I'm like really into. Like we were saying,
Mhm.
like just the curveballs and like not everything sticks, but like you're just kind of like I don't know. I was down like when you like get in like when you're down for the ride, you're kind of down for the ride, you know. And that's just like I it's like a bolt like uh got your money is that song is I don't know, like I love that record, you know, like I think it's like
Yeah.
a brilliant pop record and it's got this like strange tension to it because like he's like kind of like he's like fighting against the song like it's like this like well
Yeah.
crafted pop record and he's like sing the record you know it's like willing it on and it's like and there's like a real strangeness to like that like really like draws me in as a listener, you know, like it's
Yeah.
I, like I can't explain, like it reminds me of like you guys like fuck with Talking Heads,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like it reminds me of what I would listen like Speaking in Tongues, and I'm like, wow, these like really slick like pop songs, but like David
Hmm.
Byrne sounds like he's like a dude pretending to be like the kind of like the guy who does these like slick pop songs, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
it's like a real interesting like performance kind of, and it's like that I really there's like a tension to that like I just really enjoy like as a listener. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Oh, that
No,
it's
it
like
does.
that's actually when I like to me that's when the Neptunes are at their best is when they make these like real shiny sounding beats and then it's like clips rhyming over it about cooking coke, you know, like those two things. You wouldn't put those two things together in your head, but I love that dichotomy.
It's
definitely.
it's interesting because I don't know that I've ever consciously thought about this, but so Rob was just talking about Good Morning Heartache, and I was listening to that last night, and I was like, damn, like ODB could have been a really good blues singer. And I never thought of that before, but like, I don't know, just the way that he talks about women, about life, about just like raw, real shit, like that's the blues. I don't have a concrete example of like somebody to compare him to, but I don't know. And then I was listening to Rawhide today, and at the end of it, he says, this ain't something new that's just going to come out of nowhere. No, this is old and dirty. And so it just really like brought that point home for me. I don't know. Like there's just something like there's a foundation there that he's sort of invoking. And I love that. I mean, I just, and while I don't appreciate the production necessarily on this album, it just really makes you realize that he could do anything. He could rhyme on anything and still be him. Like it doesn't matter. And I think that that's why he was such a big what am I trying to say? Like he really made those features on those R&B and pop songs like he made the song better. And you wouldn't
Yeah.
I mean him and Mariah Carey, it's so interesting because she's on there's another documentary called Tale of Two Dirties that's just about him, and she's on it like the entire time talking about the relationship and how much she just appreciated him. And it's just so interesting because on paper you'd be like, really, he's like going to be on Mariah Carey's song, but it was just perfect because he was just him, and he never let the difference in beat or whatever or pace like stop him from being him. Like I'm sort of rambling, but I feel like that's like one of the best things about his artistry and who he was as an MC.
Yeah, that's what makes this record so fun to me. It's like he's just doing anything and
Yeah.
everything, and like and like I don't is ball it's like is it's admirable. Like it's like
Yeah.
real, like it's bold. Like
I think that's like what makes him so entertaining. And I think the reason why for me like those R&B features work was like anytime he showed up on something, I felt like anything could happen. And that was exciting. You never knew there was this edge to him, right? That like was just he was unpredictable. You just didn't know like what you were gonna get. And I always liked that. I thought that was like super entertaining and like really fun. There are moments on this record that like I still laugh at like out loud by myself when I'm listening to I Can't Wait. I'm like, what who comes up with this stuff? The shout outs on that record are hilarious to me. Like, who thinks of this? It's so funny.
Now, yo, hold on. I'm diplomat playing pity pad. Rat a tat tat, shitty cat. If I have a tat, fuck you up like that. You can't stand that, cause you got a scab. You couldn't even move, don't know how to groove. Bitch, take off your shoes, take up the room. Motherfucker, you lose. Fucking with the dude. Third dog on me to be rude. Hot big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. Big baby Jesus, I can't wait. Nigga, fuck that, I can't wait. I want to give a shout out to Funk Master Flex and all the DJs across the world. I want to give a shout out to my nigga Luke. I want to give a shout out to my nigga Suge Knight, to my nigga Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, I wanna give a shout out to what's them niggas Outcast. I wanna give a shout out to them crazy niggas that in parts of the world that I never been to. I wanna give a shout out to the Eskimos. I wanna give a shout out to the submarines. I wanna give a shout out to the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You know what I'm saying? Y'all playing my music in the submarines, in the boats. You know what I'm saying? Play that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's called traveling music, busting your ass down. Yo, Big Baby Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It's one love. I give a shout out to all the women. I give a shout out to all the babies, all the munchkins all across the world playing hopscotch. I give a shout out to all the school teachers. I give a shout out to myself.
Yeah, shout out to myself.
Yeah. But that was him. That's him. Like,
Yeah, like the Chris Rock intro, like it's
Yeah.
fun, yeah, I think a lot of the record well, like what were like the what was like the production that didn't click the most for you? Like, was it like Neptune stuff? Was it the
it was mostly Neptune stuff for me.
got it?
Yeah.
What about the RZA stuff? Or like
The RZA stuff was better, but like even that was just okay for me because this wasn't the same RZA that did Return to the 36 Chambers. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it was not that RZA. And so by that time his sound had changed. But yeah, I think it just the Neptune stuff was just a little bit too Neptunes for me sometimes. Like because their beats are very signature. Like as soon as I hear a Neptune beat, whether I fucking heard the song before or not, I know it's Neptune's beat. Like it's like sort of plain as day. So I don't know. Some of it just didn't work for me. Sometimes they work really well. Like that shit. Like sometimes it just works and sometimes it just doesn't for me.
that makes sense.
Cold Blooded was the Neptune's track, I think. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Not work for me at all. I was like, this is way too simple. I wanted more to be happening on the song.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think I love Cold Blooded. I don't know. I mean,
Listen, and you can. You do not have to agree with us.
no, I definitely get that though. I guess I just like really simple stuff.
I mean, simple, there's nothing wrong with that. Simple sometimes is great. And sometimes I prefer that. There was just something about it that I was just like, this isn't, it's not hitting it for me. I actually like some of the other, like the Buddha Monk, Getting High. Buddha Monk produced that one. The True Master track.
The Irv Gotti stuff isn't bad either.
I actually like those tracks, I think, more than the RZA produced stuff on this.
Yeah.
I can't wait and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I can't remember. What was it? What was his? So this is the original title was Black. It was like Black Men is God, White Men is the Devil. And of course, like the label was like, absolutely not. But I didn't know that. I was watching Tale of Two Dirties and they talk about it a little bit on there. But they were like, no, that got vetoed pretty quickly, it sounds like.
That almost feels like more digestible to me though than like him putting the N-word in the title.
Yeah, it's like look at the compromise.
Right. Well, of course, yeah. Look what they did let him do, like, which is like okay, but yeah, I mean,
that was the move. Like,
yeah,
he really wanted to call it. He really wanted to put the N-word in there, so he went with something extreme first.
He said, "Fine, how about this?"
That's pretty smooth. That was the play. Like,
shit, it could have been. He was smart. Is he your favorite woo rapper?
no,
He's not. Okay.
No, Ghost is.
Okay.
But I love Dirty. See, that question is tricky because like it sounds like a slight, like to like not have him like top 3, 4 or whatever, but like when you really look, it's like, but when you look at the roster, it's like
right.
That's a that's a tough team to be on.
Yeah, the roster, also like the discographies, like if you're looking at, I feel you.
But yeah, I picked this record because I figured no one else would pick it. And like I think like I don't know, the Neptune stuff like worked for me. I think the RZA stuff like wasn't it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't, but like I agree with you. It wasn't as good as like the record before.
No,
Um, you know,
not even close for
but
me.
like but like I don't know, Dirty, like he's just super entertaining to me on this record. Like
Hmm.
he said, I'll blow all the government chips out of you or something like that. That's hard. That's
Yeah.
like
Did you ever see? I saw this in. I'm old. So I saw this in like real time when it happened. Did you ever see when he was I think it was MTV, but they like go like on a field trip like interview, and he goes to yeah, okay, so you have seen it.
What happened? I don't think I saw it. What happens?
So he goes to get food stamps. Like they're in
Oh,
a limo.
I did see this.
Yeah, they're in a limo. He's doing an interview, whatever, and they literally go. He goes and gets food stamps, and I remember watching that, being like, "What? Like, what's happening?" But that's just, I don't know. Like, it just, he was kind of like, "Well, yeah, I want to make this part of it," and I just, I don't know that. I just feel like that's just what it was. I don't know, but yeah, I didn't know if you've ever seen that before, Hester.
yeah, I have the similar reaction to you. I don't know. Like yeah, no, that's crazy. I don't know why he did that. But
I guess like so in the documentary, like he had said afterwards, like he was really scared that they were going to take his kids away because he did that. So that
oh,
was interesting. And then his wife kind of confirmed, like, well, yeah, like the government was like up our ass after that clip like kind of went
oh
well
shit.
viral back in the day, like after it was aired and people saw it and they kept repeating it. Yeah, they had some issues.
Ah, fuck. That's crazy.
Yeah, which I mean, that's not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, that's jeez.
But I guess like so I think Torre did the interview. On like he's a famous journalist. And our in the record company, I don't remember her name. I think she worked for Elektra, but she was saying like how pissed off that she was that they allowed him to do that. And then Torre came back and was just like, it's not my responsibility. He's a grown ass man. Like that's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted to do. But it was just interesting because there was this kind of this conversation about like journalism and how sometimes it goes too far and they sort of, I don't know, they paint people in a specific light and it just follows that person and haunts them afterwards. So it was interesting.
Where do you sit on that? Like, what do you think they should have stopped that or?
I don't know. So I just, and this was a time when journalism was really fucking like they had a lot of power. I think especially when it came to like covering hip hop culture and black artists. Um, so I don't know. Like I think in one light, like if ODB was like, this is what I want to fucking do. Like I want you to see what my life is like. This is what my life is like. No bullshit, no other alternative or no other like ulterior motive, then I guess I'm kind of like, what are you supposed to do as a journalist? I also think you have control over how a story is covered and how the narrative goes in a story. That I think journalists do have a responsibility to. And I think oftentimes the narrative has been one that tears down Black folks and capitalizes on their trauma. So that's where I have an issue. And back then, like I said, just somebody who grew up in that time, like they had a lot of fucking power.
But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a tough one because
Yeah.
that's like I'm not gonna remix what you just said, but I feel like you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, how do y'all
Like
feel about yeah.
I mean, there's like an ethical question, right, in this for me, and that is just like, again, this goes back to something you and I were talking about before we started today, just about like turning a camera on and like watching somebody self-destruct doesn't feel ethical to me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's necessarily what was happening in this instance, but like the way we've become entertained by like people unraveling on
Yeah.
camera or on mic is like problematic for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like I mean, it's different now. Like journalism is different now because of social media and stuff. But back then it really carried a lot of weight. Like how the media portrayed you carried a lot of fucking weight. And I think it contributed to a lot of people being unwell that were in, like that had a celebrity status. And we were like watching it in real time. And yeah, I do think that like people behaved badly and they could have, I think like there's this narrative where they're powerless and they're just like covering the story, but I do think like it's a lot more. It's not that black and white.
There's more to consider
Correct.
besides like whether or not this is a good story,
Right.
right? And that's where the ethical question comes up for me. Is like,
Yeah.
am I doing something? Am I doing somebody harm by like publishing this story
Yeah.
or airing it?
Or capitalizing on trauma.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, do you think there's like certain stories that are more what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's certain stories that are more like likely to be told because it's like it feeds into a narrative or
Yeah,
like, you know,
1,000%.
100%. That's why people keep putting a microphone in front of Kanye West. Like
Right.
the only reason, because they know he's going to say some shit that's going to like get him in trouble or become like controversial. Or
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when that TMZ thing happened. I was like, I remember just being frustrated that like, why is this even being released? Like, why was this like,
For what? Right.
why did this happen? Like, like we didn't need to know this. Like, this didn't need to see the light of day.
And I do think that people have a responsibility. I'm not saying that the people covering these stories are mental health professionals and have the credentials to diagnose mental health, but you clearly know when somebody is not well. And so to continue to exploit that is fucked up,
Yeah.
right.
So, and I think ODB was like an example of that. I think that there were sometimes he was covered in a way that was just didn't promote him being healthy. And he needed help. I mean, his family talks about that a lot on the documentary. Like he needed help, and no one was really interested in getting him help. But yeah, I think I took us down. I don't know if I started the conversation or not, but I feel like I took us down a rabbit hole. But it was a good one.
I love when he says, "Can't nobody fuck with me," and when I say that, I don't mean the ladies. Y'all can fuck with me.
Yes. Oh,
Like I think like for all of its like chaoticness, I think like he says like legitimately funny stuff. Like
Yeah.
like that's what like I don't know. That's why like when I listen to this record, and maybe it's because the production hasn't soured on me, but like when I listen to this record, like it's not like a sad like I like I don't like it feels like a dope like rap record. I don't know
yeah.
like he's a dope MC to me. Like he says shit that like only he could have said. Like
Yeah, and I think that's true of him. Like regardless of where he was at in his personal life, like his entire career, he was that way.
you knew when you heard it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Hester, this has been a great conversation. Thank you for picking this album. I knew there would be a ton to discuss, and just thank you for what you do. And thank you for your time today.
Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, is there anything you want folks to know? Like, are you working on any projects currently? I think you have a show coming up, right? Or did it happen already?
Oh, I got a show on the 17th at Secret Pour in Brooklyn. If you're in the New York City area, or any adjacent areas, or if you feel like traveling really far to New York City, I'm not gonna stop you. Whatever you feel, if you can come to Secret Pour on February 17th to see me in Brooklyn, come. I think it'll be a fun show. And again, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, folks, this has been The Next Movement. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Half your bars I discard. Half these bars ain't inspiring. homie style crib. Caught him tiptoeing on the ring can, told him it's not his. Young Chop with the Desi, let it fly on the Uber Eats nigga. Coming surround this. The foul shit, the foul loops. I'll show you where foul lives. Faustian oath spun like a rotary phone. Niggas thought they was dialed in. Niggas hollow and insipid. I made my bones off broken labor laws and budget constrictions. They bitches in the barracks. Sick 'em, sick 'em, sick 'em. Our eyes be in conflicting digits. Non-Perel, the style, not enteric. Bite at your own wrist. Numbers shaved off the biscuits. They butter me up, I get to slipping. I can't trust the intentions. Where your antennas? Where your antennas?